Here is a roller coaster ride of emotions. This is Wolfman Blood Hungry, which is part of Marvel's True Believers line, a line of cheapo reprints of hard stuff. I swore off Marvel in 2012, and the only thing that made me break that vow was basically this channel. I felt that it was necessary to at least look at some new or more recent Marvel comics. I think I lasted 8 issues before I swore off them again. I got this because it is a reprint of stuff from the early 90s, and I put some faith in them that they couldn't screw this up too much. I was looking forward to reading this, but God bless Marvel, they manage to foul this up in every possible way. I will be talking about the actual story and stuff, but let's first look at the credits that some trainee assistant editor has added. Not only is it an embarrassing font, this font is Comics Pro, which is like the font you use if you are aware people didn't like Comic Sans. It is like the first font that you can find if you search for comic book fonts. But the credits down here, it really messes up the page layout to just cram the credits at the bottom like this. I do have a solution to this, which I'll say at the end. The main issue, though, should be that the artist, the letterer, and the editor, all three of those people have their surnames misspelled. 60% of the credits are wrong. The other stuff, the paper is okay. The interior pages are decent enough. I was expecting much worse for the price. It is Marvel, so everything comes with a but, and in this case it's that the cover stock is humiliating. This is worse than the interior pages. I didn't think I've ever seen that before. A comic with notably higher quality paper on the inside. Enough about the reprinting process and the production until we get to the big thing at the end. Let's talk about this story. I do not like the artist, whose name I cannot even deliberately mispronounce, because the credits already did that for me. I have never liked them, just don't like it. With this first page, I was into it. I thought everything on this page worked. Things are exaggerated, but consistently towards an overall style. This first page really works, and I got me hopes up that all the art would be like this, but here is Wolfman's distorted naked body. His hand is bigger than his head. I would say that this is the worst panel in the comic, and really there are only certain images in this that I can point to as being bad. It's usually when the style or the exaggeration gans too far and breaks the rhythm. And this naked wolfman with hair that makes no sense, and a massive hunchback and biceps that are almost as big as his torso. This is definitely the worst thing drawn in this. There is plenty of bits that I start to like or admire parts of the artwork. There is a lot of dense paneling going on. I always saw this artist as another Bill's son of a bitch, a loser who can't hack it doing proper art, so retreats into the weird alternative style to cover for their own lack of artistic talent. But it seems like there is some real sincerity here. I still didn't like his style really, but I came away from this feeling I had misjudged the guy. But at the same time, this is early work for him. He might have started phoning it in or becoming exactly what I think he is and I've thought he is for years. What's interesting though is that it's really only Wolfman that looks crap. And it's usually 9 out of 10 times Wolfman when he is out of costume. I think it is a case that he's just gone too far with the caricature elements and the exaggerated parts of Wolfman. I have said exaggerated too many times. This page here, completely fine, totally okay with me, acceptable. We have some more of the panel stuff going on, and then Wolfman takes off his cowl and we have another bad panel. This story is the one that introduced the Wolfman bad guy called Cypher, who is not the most well-known character in the world, but he is pretty notable if you are aware of Wolfman history and Wolfman comics. Most of the writing of this is decent-ish. I'd love to say that it's decent, but we will come to that hurdle soon. We have a little neat thing at the start where they parallel both Cypher and Wolfman having red on them, like in Shane of the Dead. And this first part, it obscures Cypher for the entire thing, which was something that... Oh yeah, I need to mention, this story is from... It is originally from Marvel Comics Presents, so it's told in 8-page parts, and I think this would be insufferable to read in that format. But by the end of this, it's insufferable to read for a different reason. We still have all the chapter breaks. I want to talk about that, but I didn't think I'll have time. Really, the minimal amount of work has gone into this reprint. And we have the credits again here. The 3 names are still misspelled. Copy and paste job. These credits are needless. Totally needless. And this panel in the centre of Wolfman is another one that I want to critique, but I didn't want this video ending up being 20 to 30 minutes. And the other thing is going to require a lot of time for all the effing and jeffing I'll do. But by this point in the story, I had grown to accept and live with the art. It's the Barry Strawman thing. Initially, it is off-putting, And I definitely can point to it or bits of it as bad art. But by this point, it stops being much of a problem. We get to the reveal of Cypher, and Cypher has some cool stuff going on. First, we have the adamantium thing. Wolfman famously has an adamantium skeleton. He has adamantium on the inside of him. Well, Cypher has adamantium on his outside, his exterior. So he has like adamantium arms. And in this, we learn that the two of them share some history, and that Cypher is the only person who has really hurt and beat Wolfman in a fight. Great setup for a new bad guy. And this fighting here is mostly good. Wolfman, he gets beaten again. And we get to chapter 3. It's downhill from here. Credits again at the bottom. And the reason they did it every chapter was because for chapter 3, the letter changes. This chapter is mostly shit. It is Wolfman having a dream. But here, there is a well-drawn woman. This is good art here. If you look enough, you notice that her right arm is far too long, but this is definitely okay art to print. There is nothing bad about it. It's again stylized, but it totally works, other than that arm. So Wolfman, he is having a hallucination. Why is he having a hallucination, I hear you ask? And I didn't have an answer. I think I have an answer. I think the story is Cypher's razor-sharp claws. They had poison in them. But this isn't explained in this comic. Because you see, it's not the whole fucking story. It is the first 3 parts of a story that you cannot read the rest of because Marvel reprinted it once in the 90s and haven't since. There wasn't another reprint issue with the next parts. They have given you an incomplete story without any real options to continue reading it. The last chapter in particular is nonsense because Wolfman's hallucinations, they are not given the context, the explanation that he was poisoned. It isn't in these parts. And before I start getting really angry, I will quickly explain my solution, my fix to the credits thing. Put this page at the start. Here it is showing the original covers to the Marvel Comics Presents issues that these were from. Rearrange this so that all 3 of the covers are in one row. Then you have got space below to list the credits. And you can note there that the letterer is different for chapter 3. And maybe you can also list the current staff members responsible for this totally useless reprint. I want to tear this up on principle, but I will not, because that could be construed as a reaction to the story inside, which for 2 chapters was decent enough. I find this repulsive. This is really honestly fucking useless. Who is getting anything out of this? You've got half a story. If you want the rest, they expect you to track down issues of Marvel Comics Presents, which defeats the point of repackaging half the story here. I haven't fucking swore that much, for fuck's sake. I was really, really angry when I read it and realised it was unfinished and how little went into it. If anyone was checking this, you wouldn't have an 8-page chapter of Wolfman having a hallucination without someone going, you know what, this chapter makes no sense without chapter 4 or chapter 5 or whatever. I still want to read this story, maybe even more now that I found the art can be tolerable. But actually, yeah, you know what? That is how shit the cover quality is. I swear, from the bottom of my heart, I will never buy another Marvel comic that was released after 2012 ever again. If I ever show one in a haul video and make some excuse for getting it, downvote that video, unsubscribe, call me a stupid pissbag. Marvel are not just an evil company, they are an incompetent evil company. Sorry to everyone involved with the original story, even the artist that I didn't really like, but they repackaged your story so badly it needed destroying like this. I will actually give chapter 2 a 7 thumbs up.